When did the nice girl finally snap? The wine stain spread across my grandmother's silk dress like blood and water, and I watched Jessica laugh as if she'd just told the funniest joke in the world instead of destroying the last piece of my grandmother I had left. Oops, she giggled, swaying slightly in the doorway of our shared apartment. The vintage 1960s shift dress, the one Grandma Rose wore on her first date with Grandpa, the one she'd carefully wrapped in tissue paper and given to me before she died last spring, hung loose on Jessica's smaller frame. The red wine had splattered across the delicate cream fabric in an abstract pattern that made my stomach lurch. Jessica, I started, my voice catching. God, Sarah, it's just a dress. Don't be so dramatic. She rolled her eyes and pushed past me, heading toward her bedroom. I'll get it dry cleaned or whatever. Just a dress. I stood frozen in our tiny living room, watching her stumble down the hallway, and felt something crack inside my chest. Not break, crack. Like the first fracture in ice before the whole lake gives way. This was Jessica Chen, my roommate of 2 years, the girl everyone at State University thought was absolutely hilarious and spontaneous. The same Jessica who'd been borrowing my groceries since sophomore year, who'd thrown a rager during my organic chemistry final last semester, who'd somehow managed to get credit for the entire marketing presentation I'd created for our business ethics class. The Jessica who, just 3 weeks ago, had told my boyfriend Marcus that she'd seen me kissing another guy at the library. Which was a complete lie. But Marcus believed her anyway. I thought you were different, he'd said when he broke up with me over text. Jessica's just looking out for me, you know? She's a good friend. A good friend. Right. I walked to my bedroom and sat on the edge of my twin bed, staring at the framed photo of Grandma Rose on my nightstand. She was wearing that same dress in the picture, standing next to Grandpa outside a dance hall in 1963, her dark hair perfectly curled, her smile radiant. She'd been 22 in that photo. My age exactly. That dress is magic, sweetheart, she told me 6 months ago, her hand shaking slightly as she'd folded it into the memory box. It gave me confidence when I needed it most. Someday, when you need to be brave, you wear it and remember that you come from strong women. I'd been saving it for something special. Job interviews, maybe. Or a date with someone who actually deserved to see me in it. Instead, Jessica had rifled through my closet while I was at my Thursday evening statistics class, helped herself to it like she helped herself to everything else in my life, and worn it to some random house party on Greek Row. My phone buzzed with a text from my best friend Emma, saw the pics on Instagram. You okay? Instagram. Of course Jessica had posted photos. I opened the app with trembling fingers and saw them immediately, 5 pictures of Jessica posing in my grandmother's dress, tagged at the Sigma Chi house. The comments were already piling up, gorgeous. Where did you get that dress? Vintage queen. In the last photo, you could just barely see the edge of the wine stain. I set my phone down carefully and looked at my reflection in the mirror across from my bed. Sarah Martinez, 22, college senior, Dean's List every semester, volunteer at the animal shelter, designated driver, note-taker, problem solver, keeper of secrets, absorber of blame. The nice girl. But nice girls finish last, don't they? And I was so tired of finishing last. The next morning, I woke up to Jessica humming in the kitchen like nothing had happened. The smell of my coffee, the expensive fair trade blend I bought with money from my campus bookstore job, drifted under my door. Of course she was using my coffee. She'd finished her own Folgers 3 days ago. I found her at our tiny breakfast table, scrolling through her phone in yesterday's makeup, still wearing my grandmother's dress. The wine stain had dried into a dark, irregular blotch across the front. Morning, sunshine, she chirped without looking up. You were being so weird last night. Are you PMSing or something? I stared at her. She was eating my yogurt, the Greek kind that cost $1.50 per container, while double-tapping through Instagram comments. The notification sound kept pinging as more people liked her photos. My dress was getting hundreds of likes on her profile. Jessica, you need to take that off. Now. She glanced up with an expression of mock confusion. Take what off? My grandmother's dress. The one you took without asking. Oh, come on. She waved her spoon dismissively. You never wear it. It was just sitting there in your closet behind all those boring cardigans. Besides, I looked amazing in it. Did you see how many likes I got? It's ruined. It's fine. Look, I'll Venmo you like $20 for the dry cleaning, okay? Problem solved. She turned back to her phone. Oh my god, Tyler Morrison commented on my post. He's so hot. $20. She thought my grandmother's irreplaceable dress was worth $20 in dry cleaning money. I stood there watching her scroll through comments, people praising her style, her figure, her amazing vintage find, and felt that crack in my chest split wider. Where did you even tell people you got it? I asked. I said I found it at this cute little thrift shop downtown. You know, that one next to the bubble tea place? I'm thinking of doing a whole vintage aesthetic thing. It's very trendy right now. She was going to build a social media brand around stealing my dead grandmother's clothes. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom, saw Jessica's Instagram. Isn't that Grandma Rose's dress? Why is she wearing it? Perfect. Now I had to explain to my mother why my roommate was parading around in a family heirloom, claiming she bought it at a thrift store for internet clout. I opened my laptop and started typing a response to Mom, but then I stopped. In the browser history, I could see the last websites Jessica had visited on my computer. She'd used it yesterday while I was in class because hers was acting weird. But it wasn't her Spotify or Instagram that caught my attention. It was her Gmail. She'd forgotten to log out. I shouldn't look. I knew I shouldn't. Nice girls respected privacy and trusted their friends and minded their own business. But nice girls also got their grandmother's dresses stolen and wine-stained and turned into thrift store lies. I glanced toward the kitchen. Jessica was now FaceTiming someone, probably her sister in California, talking loudly about her amazing night and her gorgeous vintage look. I clicked on her email. The first thing I saw was a message thread with Professor Davidson from our business ethics class. Subject line, Group Project Concern, Sarah Martinez. My stomach dropped as I read Jessica's message from 2 weeks ago. Hi Professor Davidson, I'm really worried about our group dynamic. Sarah has been super controlling about the project and won't let anyone else contribute. I've been trying to add my research and ideas, but she keeps shutting me down. I'm concerned she's going to submit it with only her name on it and claim all the credit. Is there a way we can ensure everyone's contributions are fairly represented? Jessica. The lying, manipulative. Sarah. Jessica called from the kitchen. Can you grab me a towel? I spilled your coffee everywhere. My coffee. On my computer desk. I quickly scrolled through more emails, my heart pounding. There were messages to Marcus from 3 weeks ago. Messages to Emma about my weird behavior lately. Messages to her parents about how difficult her roommate was being. And then I found the one that made my vision blur with rage. A message to the resident advisor from last month. Hi Ashley, I need to document some concerning behavior from my roommate Sarah. She's been going through my things and I think she might have an eating disorder. I keep finding my food missing and she gets really defensive when I ask about it. I'm worried about her mental health but also about my personal property. Can we set up a time to talk? Jessica. She'd reported me for stealing her food. She'd suggested I had an eating disorder. She'd painted herself as the concerned, caring roommate while systematically stealing from me and lying about it to our RA. I heard her footsteps coming down the hall. Time to stop being nice. I minimized the browser window just as Jessica walked back into the room, now wearing one of my oversized sweaters over the stained dress. She had my coffee mug in her hand, the ceramic one Mom had made me in her pottery class with World's Best Daughter painted in crooked blue letters. Your laptop's fine, she said, setting the mug down without offering to clean up the spill I could see spreading across my desk. Just a little splash. No biggie. No biggie. Just like the dress. Just like everything else she'd stolen, broken, or destroyed over the past 2 years. But now I had something she didn't know about. Information. Evidence. A paper trail of her lies stretching back months, maybe years. I'm going to class, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. Can you please change out of my dress before you leave? Yeah, whatever. She was already back to scrolling through her phone. Oh, hey, did you know Tyler Morrison follows me now? He never follows anyone. I think he's actually interested. Tyler Morrison. Marcus's best friend. The same Tyler who'd been at the party where Jessica claimed she saw me kissing someone else. Interesting. I grabbed my backpack and headed to campus, but instead of going to my international relations seminar, I walked straight to the library and found a computer in the back corner. I had Jessica's email password now, she'd saved it in my browser, probably months ago, and I needed to see exactly how deep this went. What I found made my hands shake. She'd been lying to everyone about everything. There were emails to her parents from September claiming she needed extra money because her roommate wasn't paying utilities and she had to cover the extra costs. I'd been paying my half directly to the apartment complex since we moved in, and I had the bank statements to prove it. Messages to our friend group chat that she deleted before I could see them, but apparently had forwarded to her sister. Sarah's been so weird and clingy lately. I think she's jealous that I'm more popular. She keeps trying to copy my style and it's honestly embarrassing. Copy her style. I looked down at my jeans and State University sweatshirt. Jessica dressed like an Instagram influencer wannabe while I'd been wearing the same 5 outfits in rotation since sophomore year because I spent my money on groceries that she ate. But the worst was a series of emails to Marcus from the week before he broke up with me. It wasn't just one lie about seeing me kiss someone. She'd been building a case against me for weeks. Sarah's been acting super secretive about her phone lately. Like she hides it when I walk in the room. She keeps going to study groups but she's always dressed up. Who dresses up for the library? I don't want to cause drama, but I saw her with this guy at the coffee shop yesterday and they seemed really close. I probably shouldn't say anything. And finally, Marcus, I'm really sorry to tell you this, but I saw Sarah kissing Jake Reynolds behind the science building yesterday. I didn't want to be the one to tell you, but you deserve to know. She made me promise not to say anything, but I can't let you get hurt. Please don't tell her I told you. Jake Reynolds. He wasn't even real. I'd never heard that name before in my life, and I'd been at State for 4 years. She'd invented an entire person to destroy my relationship. My phone buzzed with a text from Emma. Coffee later? I need to vent about this group project. Jessica's being weird again. Perfect timing. I screenshotted everything I could before logging out, then headed to meet Emma at our usual spot, the Starbucks in the student union. She was already there, hunched over her anthropology textbook with a venti latte that probably cost more than I spent on food in 3 days. Thank God you're here, she said as I sat down. I'm about to lose my mind. Jessica volunteered us for this presentation on cultural appropriation, and now she's trying to argue that wearing Native American headdresses to music festivals is appreciation, not appropriation. I can't work with someone that clueless. Emma, I said carefully, how long have you known Jessica? She looked up from her textbook, eyebrows furrowed. Since freshman year, same as you. Why? Have you ever noticed that she stretches the truth sometimes? Emma snorted. Stretches? Sarah, she lies like other people breathe. Remember when she told everyone she was valedictorian of her high school class? I Facebook stalked her graduation photos. She wasn't even in the top 10%. Wait. Other people had noticed too. Why didn't you ever say anything? Because you seemed to believe her, and I figured it wasn't worth the drama. Plus, she's fun at parties. Emma shrugged. But honestly? I've been waiting for someone else to call her out. The ice was cracking faster now. I spent the rest of the afternoon in Emma's dorm room, and what I learned made me realize I'd been living in a carefully constructed bubble of lies for 2 years. Oh my God, you actually believe the scholarship story? Emma asked, nearly spitting out her coffee. We were sitting cross-legged on her bed, sharing a bag of chips she'd bought with her own money, a concept that felt foreign after living with Jessica. What scholarship story? The one about how she got a full ride to State because her dad died in Afghanistan? Sarah, her dad works at a Toyota dealership in Phoenix. He came to Parents' Weekend last year wearing a World's Greatest Dad t-shirt and complained about gas prices for 20 minutes. My mouth fell open. Jessica had told me her father was a war hero who died when she was 16. She'd cried real tears when she told me, back during our first week as roommates. I'd felt so sorry for her that I'd bought groceries for both of us that entire month because she claimed her survivor benefits were delayed. But she has that framed flag in her room, I said weakly. Amazon, probably. Sarah, she literally posted Instagram stories from her family vacation to Cabo last Christmas. Her very alive father was in half the photos. I pulled out my phone and scrolled back through Jessica's Instagram, my hands shaking. There he was, a middle-aged man with Jessica's same dark hair and smile, wearing swim trunks and holding a beer, very much not dead. The caption read, Dad's margarita game is strong flexed biceps taco #familytime #kabovake. How had I never seen this? Emma, what else don't I know? She gave me a look that was equal parts pity and exasperation. Honey, how much time do you have? Because Jessica Chen has been spinning stories since freshman orientation. Over the next 2 hours, Emma systematically destroyed every narrative Jessica had fed me. The grandmother who supposedly left her a trust fund? Made up, Jessica worked at the campus bookstore under a work-study program, just like me. The prestigious internship at her uncle's law firm in New York? She'd spent last summer working at a Dairy Queen in Tempe because she couldn't afford to take an unpaid internship anywhere. Wait, I said, something clicking into place. If she's been working at the bookstore, why did she tell me she couldn't afford groceries? I'd been buying food for both of us since sophomore year because she said she was broke. Emma's face went through several expressions before settling on anger. Sarah, she bought a $300 jacket last week. I was with her at the mall. She paid cash. $300. I did quick math in my head, that was more than I spent on groceries in 2 months. Groceries that she'd been eating while claiming poverty and family tragedy. She's been playing you, Emma said gently. Like, really playing you. We all knew it, but you seemed to care about her so much, and she was always careful to make you look paranoid if anyone questioned it. What do you mean? Remember last semester when Tyler asked why Jessica always seemed to be eating your food? She laughed it off and said you were being super sweet and motherly, but that she was worried you were developing a savior complex. She made it sound like you were forcing food on her and getting weird about it. The email to the RA flashed through my mind. Jessica hadn't just been covering her tracks, she'd been actively painting me as unstable. My phone buzzed with a text from Jessica, hey, where are you? Brought Chinese food home to share. Takeout box. I showed Emma the message. With what money? She asked pointedly. Probably mine, I muttered, thinking about the $20 bill I'd left on the kitchen counter this morning for my half of the electricity bill. Another text from Jessica, got your favorite orange chicken. And those noodles you like, red heart. Emma read over my shoulder. She's love bombing you. Classic manipulation tactic. Do something awful, then do something nice to make you feel guilty for being mad. I stared at my phone, thinking about Jessica sitting in our apartment in my ruined dress, eating Chinese food bought with money she'd probably stolen from me, texting heart emojis like she hadn't just destroyed the last piece of my grandmother I had left. Emma, I said slowly, hypothetically, if someone had been lying to everyone for years, and you had proof of it, what would you do? She raised an eyebrow. Hypothetically? I'd burn their whole fake life to the ground. But that's just me. She paused, studying my face. Sarah, what aren't you telling me? I thought about Jessica's email account, still logged in on my laptop. About the web of lies she'd spun to our professors, our friends, our families. About Marcus, who probably still believed I'd cheated on him with a person who didn't even exist. I think, I said carefully, it's time people knew who Jessica Chen really is. Emma's eyes lit up with something that looked dangerously close to glee. Oh my god, you're actually going to do it. Sarah Martinez is finally going to fight back. I didn't say that, I protested, but even as the words left my mouth, I could feel the lie in them. I was going to fight back. The question was how. What kind of proof do you have? Emma asked, leaning forward conspiratorially. I told her about the emails, the lies to Professor Davidson, the manufactured evidence she'd fed Marcus, the complaint to our RA painting me as unstable. With each revelation, Emma's expression grew more outraged. That manipulative little, she caught herself, shaking her head. Sarah, this is bigger than just roommate drama. She's been committing academic fraud, potentially harassment. This could get her expelled. The weight of that hit me. Expelled. Jessica's entire college career, destroyed. 2 years ago, the thought would have horrified me. But now, thinking about her wearing my grandmother's dress while building lies about my mental health, I felt something cold settle in my chest. My phone rang. Jessica's name flashed on the screen. Answer it, Emma whispered. Act normal. I swiped to accept. Hi, Jess. Sarah. Her voice was bright, artificially cheerful. Where are you? I got us so much food, and I felt bad about being snappy this morning. I think I'm PMSing. Always an excuse. Always a reason why her behavior wasn't really her fault. I'm studying with Emma. I'll be back later. Okay, but don't stay out too late. Oh, and I ran into Marcus at the campus center. He asked about you. My grip tightened on the phone. What did you tell him? Just that you seem to be doing better lately. You know, less stressed. I think he feels bad about the breakup. There was a pause, then her voice took on that concerned tone she used when she wanted to sound caring. Maybe you should text him. I really think there's hope for you guys. I met Emma's eyes. She'd heard enough of the conversation to look disgusted. Maybe, I said evenly. I should go. See you tonight. Love you, Rumi. I hung up and immediately felt sick. Love you, Rumi. Said by the same person who'd invented a fictional guy named Jake Reynolds to destroy my relationship. She's still playing games, Emma said. Dangling Marcus in front of you like bait. Why would she do that? Because as long as you're focused on getting Marcus back, you're not focused on what she's been doing to you. It's misdirection. Emma pulled out her laptop. We need to be smart about this. If you're really going to expose her, we need to document everything and plan it out. For the next hour, we created what Emma called Operation Truth Bomb. She pulled out a notebook and started making lists while I used her computer to access Jessica's email again. Okay, Emma said, pen poised. Who are her primary targets? Like, who has she lied to the most? I thought about it. Our friend group, obviously. Marcus and his friends. Professor Davidson. RRA, Ashley. Her parents, but I can't really do anything about that. And probably her Instagram followers, but those are mostly strangers. What about other professors? If she's lying about group projects in one class. I searched through more of Jessica's emails. What I found made my stomach turn. Oh God, Emma. She complained to Professor Martinez in our international relations class about me too. She said I was unreliable and asked if she could switch discussion groups because I dominated conversations and made other students uncomfortable. Professor Martinez was my favorite teacher. She'd written one of my recommendation letters for graduate school applications. The thought that Jessica had been poisoning that relationship made me feel physically ill. What else? Emma asked grimly. I kept scrolling. She told Dr. Peterson in psychology that she was concerned about a classmate showing signs of disordered eating and obsessive behavior, but didn't want to name names. The timestamps match up with when she complained to Ashley about me going through her food. Jesus Christ, Sarah. She's been running a systematic campaign against you. The worst part was how careful she'd been. Never quite accusing me directly, always hiding behind concern and care. Playing the worried friend, the observant classmate, the caring roommate. And because I actually was quiet in discussion groups, because I did take detailed notes and care about grades, because I was careful with money and didn't eat much when I was stressed, her lies had just enough truth to be believable. I found something else, I said, clicking on a folder labeled screenshots. She's been saving our private text conversations. And, oh my God. What? She's been editing them. Look at this. I turned the laptop toward Emma. On the screen was a text thread between Jessica and me from last month, but it looked wrong. In Jessica's version, my messages sounded paranoid and accusatory, asking why she'd been going through my stuff and demanding she stop lying to me about everything. I'd never sent those messages. I remembered that conversation. It had been about whether we needed more toilet paper. She's been creating fake evidence, I said quietly. If I ever tried to defend myself, she could show these screenshots and make me look completely unstable. Emma stared at the screen. Sarah, this isn't just mean girl behavior. This is actually scary. Like, genuinely scary. She's been building a case to destroy your reputation for months. My phone buzzed with another text from Jessica. The orange chicken is getting cold. Pleading face also found something that belongs to you. Want to make sure you get it back safely, red heart. A photo followed. Jessica had found my grandmother's jewelry box, the small wooden one with the tiny ballerina that spun when you opened it. She was holding it in her hands, and I could see my grandmother's pearl earrings, the ones I wore to her funeral, sitting inside. The message was clear. I have something else of yours. Come home. Be nice. That's it, I said, standing up so fast I knocked over Emma's coffee cup. That's enough. Emma grabbed napkins to clean up the spilled coffee, but I was already pacing her small dorm room like a caged animal. The photo of my grandmother's jewelry box burned in my mind. Jessica's manicured fingers wrapped around the delicate wooden edges, her thumb deliberately positioned over the tiny golden latch Grandpa had fixed 3 times because Grandma Rose couldn't bear to throw it away. She's in my room, I said, my voice shaking. She's going through my personal things while texting me about Chinese food. Breathe, Emma said firmly, but I could see the anger flashing in her eyes too. We stick to the plan. Document everything first, then. My phone rang again. This time it was Ashley, RRA. I have to take this, I told Emma, my heart hammering. Hi Sarah, Ashley's voice sounded tired. Can you come to my room? I need to talk to you about some concerns that have been brought to my attention. Of course. Jessica had probably sent her those fake screenshots the moment I'd left the apartment. I could picture her now, sitting in my grandmother's stained dress, typing out a concerned email about her increasingly erratic roommate who was obsessing over her belongings and making threats. Actually, Ashley, I need to talk to you too, I said, surprising myself with how steady my voice sounded. I have some information about Jessica that I think you should see. There was a pause. Information? What kind of information? The kind that proves she's been lying to you for months. Emma looked up from her laptop, eyebrows raised. I was deviating from our careful plan, but I didn't care anymore. Jessica wanted to play games with my grandmother's jewelry? Fine. Game on. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Ashley's room with my laptop open, showing her the real email thread between Jessica and Dr. Peterson. Ashley's expression grew darker with each message she read. So when Jessica filed a report about you exhibiting concerning behaviors, Ashley said slowly, she was actually describing her own actions. She's been stealing my food for 2 years and then reporting me for disordered eating. She's been going through my personal belongings while claiming I was invading her privacy. She's been lying to professors about group projects and academic integrity. I clicked to another email. And she's been manufacturing evidence to support all of it. Ashley scrolled through the fake screenshots, comparing them to the real text threads I pulled up on my phone. Sarah, this is really serious. This goes way beyond roommate conflicts. My phone buzzed with yet another text from Jessica. Hey, getting worried, you've been gone for hours. Everything okay? Found more of your stuff mixed in with mine, want to make sure it gets back to you. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Another photo. This time she was holding my birth certificate and social security card, documents I kept in a locked box under my bed. Documents she would have had to break into. She's escalating, Ashley said, looking at the photo over my shoulder. Sarah, I think you need to come back to the dorm with me. Now. But as we walked across campus, my phone started buzzing with notifications. Instagram, Facebook, text messages. Something was happening. Emma called as we reached my building. Sarah, where are you? Jessica just posted something and people are losing their minds. I opened Instagram with shaking fingers. Jessica's latest post was a photo of her sitting on my bed, still wearing my grandmother's dress, surrounded by my scattered belongings. The caption made my blood run cold. When your roommate has a complete breakdown and trashes your room because you borrowed a dress, anxious face with sweat, really worried about her mental health right now. Has anyone else noticed Sarah acting strange lately? Don't want to put her business out there, but I'm genuinely scared. Please send good vibes, this situation is getting really intense. Hashtag mental health, hashtag roommate stories, hashtag concerned. The comments were already pouring in. People I'd known for years offering Jessica support, asking if she was safe, suggesting she contact campus security about her unstable roommate. But then I noticed something Jessica had missed. In the background of her photo, clearly visible on my nightstand, was the framed picture of Grandma Rose wearing the exact same dress Jessica claimed to have bought at a thrift shop. Ashley, I said quietly, I think I know exactly how to handle this. Ashley looked at the post, then at me. Sarah, what are you thinking? I was thinking about my grandmother, who'd survived the Depression, raised 4 children as a single mother after my grandfather died young, and built a successful seamstress business from nothing. Who'd taught me that sometimes being strong meant being quiet, but other times it meant standing up and fighting back. I'm thinking, I said, that Jessica just made her first real mistake. Ashley and I stood outside my dorm room door, and I could hear music playing inside, my Spotify premium account, which Jessica had been using for months because hers had expired. The irony wasn't lost on me. Before we go in, Ashley said, pulling out her phone, I need to document the current state of the room. If she's claiming you trashed it, we need evidence of what actually happened. Smart. I was starting to understand why Ashley was the RA and not someone like Jessica, who'd applied for the position last year and been rejected. At the time, Jessica had told everyone it was because Ashley was playing favorites and had it out for her. Now I wondered what the housing department had seen in Jessica's application that I'd missed. I unlocked the door with my key, and we stepped inside to find Jessica sitting exactly where she'd been in her Instagram photo, on my bed, surrounded by my belongings, my grandmother's dress wrinkled and stained. But seeing it in person made me realize something that hadn't been clear in the photo. She hadn't trashed the room. She'd carefully arranged my things to look chaotic while keeping them perfectly undamaged. My books were scattered in neat little piles. My clothes were thrown around but obviously folded. Even my jewelry box was positioned at the perfect angle to catch the light, displaying my grandmother's pearls like props in a staged photo. Interesting, Ashley murmured, taking photos with her phone. This doesn't look like the aftermath of someone having a breakdown. This looks like a photo shoot. Jessica looked up from her phone, and for just a second, I saw something flicker across her face, surprise, maybe even fear, before she rearranged her features into an expression of concern. Oh my God, Sarah. There you are. I've been so worried. She stood up quickly, stepping carefully around my scattered belongings. You seemed so upset this morning, and when you didn't come back, I started looking for you and found my room like this. I think maybe you got confused about whose stuff was whose? It's okay, it happens when people are stressed. My room. She'd said my room while standing in the space I'd been paying for with money from my campus bookstore job. Jessica, I said calmly, can you explain why you're wearing my grandmother's dress? Your grandmother's, what? Sarah, I told you, I bought this at that vintage place downtown. You're really starting to worry me. She turned to Ashley with perfectly practiced concern. She's been having these episodes where she gets confused about what belongs to her. Last week she accused me of stealing her shampoo when I was using my own bottle. But I'd learned something important from Emma's anthropology textbook, which I'd been reading while we planned Operation Truth Bomb. Jessica was giving me too much detail, a classic sign of deception. Innocent people didn't need to over-explain. That's interesting, Ashley said, still taking photos. Because I can see a framed picture on Sarah's nightstand of someone wearing that exact same dress. Looks vintage, maybe 1960s? Jessica's eyes darted to the photo, and I watched her calculate. I could almost see the gears turning as she tried to figure out how to explain away the evidence. Oh, that's just a weird coincidence, she said finally. There were probably lots of dresses like this back then. It's not like it's one of a kind or anything. Actually, it is, I said, pulling out my phone. My grandmother had it custom made by a seamstress in Phoenix in 1963. See this beadwork around the neckline? She designed that pattern herself. It's based on a traditional Mexican embroidery technique her mother taught her. I zoomed in on the photo, showing Ashley the intricate pattern of tiny silver beads that spelled out Rosa in delicate script along the collar. My grandmother's name was Rosa Martinez. She sewed her name into everything she made. Ashley examined the dress Jessica was wearing, and sure enough, the beadwork was clearly visible. Rosa, she read aloud. That's your grandmother's name embroidered into a dress you supposedly bought at a thrift shop? Jessica's face had gone pale. Maybe the thrift shop had it wrong? Maybe they didn't know its history? Or maybe, I said, my voice getting stronger, you went through my closet while I was in class yesterday, took my grandmother's dress without asking, wore it to a party, spilled wine on it, and are now lying about how you got it. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus, saw Jessica's post. What's going on? This doesn't sound like you. Perfect timing. I showed the text to Ashley. Jessica told Marcus 3 weeks ago that she saw me kissing someone named Jake Reynolds. Ashley, I've never met anyone named Jake Reynolds in my life. In fact, I don't think that person exists on this campus. That's not, Sarah, you're really scaring me right now, Jessica said, but her voice had lost some of its confidence. Maybe we should call someone. Like your mom, or the counseling center, or maybe, Ashley interrupted, we should call housing services and academic affairs. Because if Sarah's telling the truth, we're looking at theft, harassment, and academic fraud. The words hung in the air between us. Academic fraud. That could mean expulsion, loss of financial aid, a permanent mark on Jessica's transcript. Everything she'd worked for, gone. But instead of looking scared, Jessica's expression shifted into something I'd never seen before. Cold calculation. You know what, Ashley? You're right. We should call someone. She picked up her phone. I think it's time people knew exactly what kind of person Sarah Martinez really is. My heart stopped as Jessica's finger hovered over her phone screen, but then I realized something that made me smile despite everything. Go ahead, I said quietly. Call whoever you want. Jessica paused, clearly not expecting that response. Ashley raised an eyebrow, and I could see her trying to figure out why I suddenly looked so calm. In fact, I continued, pulling out my own phone, let me help you with that. Should we start with Professor Davidson from Business Ethics? I'm sure she'd love to hear about how you've been handling our group projects. Jessica's face went white. Sarah, what are you? Or maybe we should call Dr. Peterson from Psychology? You know, the one you told about my supposed eating disorder? I scrolled through my contacts. Actually, let's start with Marcus. I think he deserves to know the truth about Jake Reynolds. I hit Marcus's number before Jessica could stop me. He answered on the second ring. Sarah? Hey, I saw Jessica's post and… Marcus, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest. When Jessica told you she saw me kissing Jake Reynolds, did you ever actually meet Jake? Or see him yourself? There was a long pause. No, but Jessica said. Did you look him up on social media? Check the student directory? Ask any of your friends if they knew him? Another pause, longer this time. In the background, I could hear Jessica making frantic gestures, mouthing hang up and don't listen to her. Actually, Marcus said slowly, Tyler mentioned that was weird. He said he'd never heard of any Jake Reynolds in our year, and he knows pretty much everyone in our program. That's because Jake Reynolds doesn't exist, Marcus. Jessica made him up. I put the phone on speaker so Ashley could hear. I have emails, Marcus. Screenshots of Jessica planning out exactly what lies to tell you and when to tell them. She destroyed our relationship deliberately, and she's been doing the same thing to other people for months. That's not, Sarah, you're having another episode. Jessica burst out. Marcus, don't listen to her. She's been acting paranoid and… Jessica, Ashley interrupted coldly, I've seen the emails she's talking about. From your account. The ones where you systematically lied to multiple professors, students, and staff members. The ones where you fabricated evidence and filed false reports. The silence on the other end of the phone was deafening. Marcus? I said gently. Are you still there? Yeah, I'm… Jesus, Sarah. If this is true, I owe you the biggest apology of my life. It's true, Ashley confirmed. I'm the RA, and I've seen documentation of harassment, theft, and academic misconduct going back over a year. Jessica's phone started buzzing frantically. Comments on her Instagram post, probably. But as I looked over her shoulder, I realized they weren't the supportive messages she'd been expecting. Emma had been busy. The comments had shifted dramatically in the 20 minutes since we'd been upstairs. Instead of people offering Jessica sympathy, I saw messages like, wait, isn't that Sarah's grandmother's dress from the photo in the background? And this feels staged AF, and why are you going through her stuff to begin with? Emma had recruited our entire anthropology class to fact-check Jessica's story, and they were ruthless. Someone had even found public records proving her father was alive and well in Phoenix, directly contradicting the dead war hero story she'd been telling for 2 years. Jessica, Ashley said, checking her own phone, you need to pack a bag. Housing is moving you to a temporary room effective immediately while we investigate these allegations. You can't do that. Jessica snapped, and suddenly the sweet, concerned roommate act was completely gone. I pay for this room too. Actually, according to housing records, Sarah has been paying your share of utilities for 8 months, Ashley replied. Along with covering groceries, internet, and cleaning supplies. The financial aid office is going to be very interested in why you've been claiming poverty while spending hundreds of dollars on clothes and entertainment. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. This is Tyler Morrison. Marcus gave me your number. I owe you an apology too. We all do. Then another from Emma, check Jessica's Instagram. The comments are savage. And then, unexpectedly, one from my mom, Mija, bring that dress home this weekend. I know someone who specializes in vintage restoration. Abuela Rosa's dress is going to be perfect again. For the first time in hours, I felt like I might actually cry. But not from sadness or frustration, from relief. The dress comes off now, I said firmly. And you're going to pay for professional restoration, not some $20 dry cleaning. Jessica looked around the room, at Ashley documenting everything, at my phone still connected to Marcus, at her own phone showing the comments tearing apart her carefully constructed lies. Finally, she started to unzip my grandmother's dress. This isn't over, Sarah, she said quietly. But looking at her standing there in her underwear, surrounded by the evidence of her own deception, I realized it actually was. The next morning, I woke up in my own bed for the first time in months without the sound of Jessica rummaging through my things. The silence felt strange, almost unsettling. Ashley had moved her to a temporary single room in the basement of Morrison Hall while housing conducted their investigation, and the absence of her constant chaos made my apartment feel huge and empty. I was making coffee with my own beans, from my own coffee maker, when my phone started buzzing with notifications. Lots of them. The first was from Dr. Peterson, my psychology professor. Sarah, please see me during office hours today. We need to discuss some concerns that were brought to my attention regarding another student. Then Professor Davidson, Ms. Martinez, I owe you an apology. Please come by my office at your earliest convenience. But the message that made my stomach drop was from Dean Williams in Academic Affairs. Please report to my office at 10 a.m. today. This regards allegations of academic misconduct involving your roommate Jessica Chen. I checked the time, 8:47 a.m. I had just over an hour to prepare for what felt like a tribunal. My phone rang. Emma. Sarah. Oh my God, have you seen the campus Facebook page this morning? I hadn't. I'd been deliberately avoiding social media, afraid of what I might find. What's happening? Someone posted the screenshots you showed Ashley yesterday. Like, all of them. Jessica's fake text conversations, her emails to professors, everything. Emma's voice was a mixture of excitement and concern. It's gone completely viral. Everyone's talking about it. My heart started pounding. Emma, I didn't post those. I would never. I know you didn't. The account that posted them is anonymous, but whoever it was, they included a manifesto about toxic manipulation in college friendships and how nice people deserve protection from predators. She paused. Sarah, people are calling Jessica the college catfish because of how much she lied about her life. I opened Facebook with trembling hands, and Emma was right. The post had over 300 shares and 150 comments. Someone had methodically laid out Jessica's lies with timestamps and evidence, creating what looked like a legal brief. The anonymous poster had even found Jessica's fake scholarship applications and her work study records, proving she'd been employed the entire time she claimed to be broke. But what scared me was how thorough it was. This wasn't just the information I'd gathered, someone had access to records I'd never seen. Emma, who could have done this? Who else has access to all this information? I don't know, but honestly, I'm not mad about it. Jessica spent 2 years destroying your reputation. Maybe it's time everyone knew the truth. A text from Marcus interrupted our call. Sarah, can we talk? I feel like the world's biggest idiot. Then one from Tyler Morrison, Team Sarah. Always should have been Team Sarah. And weirdly, one from Ashley, don't panic about the Facebook post. Come to Dean Williams' office 20 minutes early. There's something you need to know before your meeting. I threw on the first clean clothes I could find and practically ran across campus to the administration building. Ashley was waiting for me in the lobby, looking tired but oddly satisfied. Sarah, I need to tell you something before you go up there, she said, pulling me aside. I wasn't the only one building a case against Jessica. What do you mean? Housing has been tracking complaints about her for over a year. The resident advisors in her freshman dorm, her previous roommates, even some professors. You weren't her first target, you were just her most successful one. My mouth fell open. There were other people? Her freshman roommate transferred schools mid-semester because Jessica made her life hell. Her sophomore roommate requested an emergency room change and refused to explain why. Ashley's expression darkened. Jessica has a pattern, Sarah. She finds nice, trusting people and systematically destroys them while playing the victim. The elevator doors opened, and Dean Williams appeared, a tall woman in her 50s with silver hair and sharp eyes that seemed to see everything. Ms. Martinez? Please come with me. We have a lot to discuss. Dean Williams' office was nothing like I'd expected. Instead of the intimidating formal setup I'd imagined, it felt more like a therapist's office, soft lighting, comfortable chairs, and a shelf full of books about conflict resolution and student psychology. Please, sit, she said, gesturing to a chair across from her desk. I want you to know right away that you're not in trouble, Sarah. In fact, we owe you a significant apology. I perched on the edge of the chair, my hands clasped tightly in my lap. An apology? The anonymous Facebook post this morning wasn't random, Dean Williams said, pulling out a thick file folder. Our IT department has been monitoring Jessica Chen's digital activity for 3 weeks, ever since her previous roommate from last semester finally came forward. My stomach dropped. Previous roommate? Madison Torres. She transferred to Arizona State mid-semester last spring after what she described as psychological warfare from Jessica. Madison was too scared to file a formal complaint at the time. Jessica had convinced everyone that Madison was having a nervous breakdown. Dean Williams opened the file. Sound familiar? The room felt like it was spinning. She did this to someone else? Multiple people, actually. We've identified at least 4 students over 2 years who've reported similar patterns of behavior: stolen belongings, false accusations, manufactured evidence, systematic reputation destruction. She pulled out a timeline that looked disturbingly thorough. Jessica would target quiet, academically successful students with strong moral compasses. People who were unlikely to fight back immediately. But why me specifically? Dean Williams consulted another document. According to Madison, Jessica studied her targets first. She looked for students with scholarship money, family trauma, or valuable possessions. You checked multiple boxes: academic merit scholarship, recent family loss, and according to Jessica's own social media posts, several valuable vintage items inherited from your grandmother. The words hit me like physical blows. Jessica hadn't randomly decided to be my friend's sophomore year. She'd chosen me deliberately, the way a predator selects prey. The Facebook post this morning was compiled by our investigation team, Dean Williams continued. We've been building a case, but we needed Jessica to escalate her behavior enough to justify intervention. Yesterday's incident with your grandmother's dress and her public Instagram accusations gave us the grounds we needed. You've been watching this happen? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. You knew she was destroying my life and you just watched? Sarah, I know how that sounds, but we needed evidence that would hold up in academic disciplinary proceedings. Jessica is extremely sophisticated in her manipulation tactics. She's careful never to leave obvious proof, and she's skilled at making her victims look unstable if they try to report her. She pulled out another file, this one with my name on it. We've been documenting the impact on your academic performance, your social relationships, even your health. Your professors noted significant changes in your class participation and stress levels starting in September of your sophomore year, exactly when you began rooming with Jessica. I thought about all those nights I'd lain awake wondering if I was losing my mind, if I really was as paranoid and unstable as Jessica suggested. Apparently, other people had been taking notes. What happens now? I asked. Jessica Chen is facing immediate suspension pending a full disciplinary hearing. The charges include academic fraud, theft, harassment, and filing false reports against multiple students. Dean Williams closed the file. But Sarah, we need your testimony to make the strongest possible case. Are you willing to participate in the formal hearing process? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. You think you've won, but this isn't over. People will know what you really are. Jay. Dean Williams saw my face change as I read the message. She's still contacting you? I showed her the text, and her expression hardened. That's violation of the no-contact order we issued this morning. Forward that to me immediately. She picked up her office phone. Campus security? We have a violation of disciplinary restrictions. I need an officer at Morrison Hall basement level immediately. As she spoke to security, I realized that somewhere in the last 24 hours, I'd stopped being a victim and become something else entirely. Not just a survivor, an active participant in holding Jessica accountable for what she'd done. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Emma, emergency. Jessica's in the quad with a megaphone. You need to see this. I could hear Jessica before I could see her. Systematic campaign of harassment against me. Her voice, amplified by what sounded like a borrowed megaphone from student government, carried across the entire quad. Sarah Martinez has been stalking me, stealing from me, and when I tried to get help, she turned everyone against me. Dean Williams and I rushed out of the administration building to find a crowd of about 50 students gathered around Jessica, who was standing on the steps of the student union in yesterday's clothes, her hair unwashed, mascara smudged under her eyes. She looked genuinely unhinged, which, I realized with growing horror, was probably exactly what she was going for. She hacked into my email. Jessica continued, her voice cracking with what sounded like real emotion. She stole private conversations and twisted them to make me look like some kind of monster. All because I borrowed a dress from her closet. Several people in the crowd were filming with their phones. This was going to be all over social media in minutes. The administration is covering for her because she's their perfect little scholarship student, Jessica went on, and I watched people in the crowd nodding along. They don't care that she's been psychologically torturing me for months. They don't care that I'm afraid to sleep in my own room. My phone was buzzing constantly now. Emma texting me our location. Marcus asking if I was okay. Ashley warning me that housing security was en route but to stay back for my own safety. But then I noticed something that made my stomach clench with fresh anxiety. Professor Davidson was in the crowd, along with Dr. Peterson and several other faculty members I recognized. Jessica wasn't just performing for students, she was trying to salvage her academic reputation in real time, in front of the professors who would determine her fate. Sarah Martinez wants everyone to believe I'm this master manipulator, Jessica continued, tears now streaming down her face, but look at what she's done. She's turned my friends against me, gotten me kicked out of my housing, destroyed my reputation online. Who's the real bully here? And here's the terrifying thing, it was working. I could see it in people's faces. The doubt creeping in. Because Jessica was right about one thing, the evidence against her had been devastating in public, and now she was standing there looking small and broken and genuinely victimized. All I did was borrow a vintage dress that she never even wore, Jessica sobbed into the megaphone. It was just sitting in her closet for months. And when I accidentally spilled something on it, I offered to pay for cleaning, but she completely lost it. She started screaming at me, going through my personal things, sending threatening messages to my friends. Dean Williams grabbed my arm gently. Sarah, don't engage. This is a classic manipulation tactic. When cornered, abusers often flip the script and claim they're the real victims. But I was staring at the crowd, watching people I'd known for years starting to look at me with suspicion and disgust. Marcus was pushing through the crowd toward us, his face grim. Emma was behind him, along with Ashley and what looked like 2 campus security officers. She's been planning this for weeks. Jessica's voice reached a crescendo. Building fake evidence, manipulating administrators, destroying my life piece by piece. And why? Because she's obsessed with me. Because she can't stand that people actually like me. My phone buzzed with a text from Tyler Morrison. Sarah, people are starting to share this live stream. You need to respond somehow. Then another from an unknown number, saw the video. Is this really what happened? Madison Torres. Madison Torres. Jessica's previous victim, the one who transferred schools. I looked at Dean Williams. I need to make a statement. Sarah, I strongly advise against engaging in a public confrontation. This is exactly what she wants. No, I said, surprising myself with a firmness in my voice. This isn't what she wants. What she wants is for me to stay quiet and let her control the narrative. I looked back at Jessica, who had spotted me in the crowd and was now pointing directly at me with her free hand. There she is. Jessica announced. There's my abuser, hiding behind the administration while I tell everyone the truth. The crowd turned toward me, and I felt 50 pairs of eyes examining my face for signs of guilt or innocence. This was it. This was the moment that would determine not just how this ended, but who I was going to be for the rest of my life. The quiet girl who let other people tell her story, or the woman who finally spoke up for herself. I stepped forward. I stepped forward into the circle of students, my heart hammering so loudly I was sure everyone could hear it over Jessica's amplified voice. The crowd parted slightly, creating a direct line of sight between Jessica and me, like some twisted version of a Western showdown. Jessica, I said, my voice carrying across the quad without amplification, you're wearing my grandmother's earrings. It was such a simple statement, so quiet compared to her megaphone theatrics, that it took a moment for people to process what I'd said. Jessica's free hand flew instinctively to her ear, where my grandmother's small pearl studs, the ones from the jewelry box she'd photographed yesterday, caught the late morning sunlight. I don't know what you're talking about, she said into the megaphone, but her voice had lost some of its conviction. Those are Rosa Martinez's pearls, I continued, louder now. My grandmother's name is engraved on the back of each earring. She had it done in 1965 when my grandfather bought them for their anniversary. I pulled out my phone and held up a photo, a close-up I'd taken months ago when I'd written a paper about family heirlooms for my sociology class. Would you like to take them off so everyone can see the engraving? The crowd had gone completely silent. Even Jessica seemed momentarily speechless, the megaphone hanging loose in her hand. Those are mine, she finally said, but the words sounded hollow. Sarah's so obsessed with me that she's claiming my jewelry belongs to her dead grandmother. But Professor Davidson was pushing through the crowd now, her expression thunderous. Ms. Chen, I'd like you to remove those earrings immediately and hand them to campus security. You can't make me. Actually, I can, Dean Williams said, stepping up beside me. Those earrings were reported stolen yesterday as part of the formal complaint against you. Wearing them in public constitutes additional evidence of theft. I watched Jessica's face cycle through expressions, defiance, calculation, fear, and finally something that looked almost like relief. Like she was tired of performing and ready for it to be over. Fine, she said, pulling out the earrings with shaking hands. But this doesn't prove anything except that maybe some jewelry got mixed up when we were sharing a room. Actually, it proves quite a lot, said a voice from the edge of the crowd. Madison Torres stepped forward, holding her own phone. Because Jessica, you did the exact same thing to me last semester. Stole my grandmother's ring, then claimed I was obsessed with you when I asked for it back. The crowd turned toward Madison, and I saw recognition dawning on several faces. Madison had been popular before she transferred, student government, honor society, the whole package. People remembered her sudden departure. Madison? Emma called out. You came back? Just for the day. Dean Williams asked me to testify at the disciplinary hearing. Madison's voice was steady, confident. But when I saw the circus, I knew I had to speak up. Jessica's face had gone completely white. Madison, please don't. Don't what? Don't tell everyone how you spent 3 months systematically destroying my mental health? How you convinced my boyfriend I was cheating on him with my study group partner? How you stole my ADHD medication and then reported me to the RA for erratic behavior when I couldn't focus without it. A gasp went through the crowd. Stealing prescription medication was a felony, not just a campus disciplinary issue. That's not, I never, Jessica stammered. I have the pharmacy records, Madison continued. And the text messages where you offered to sell Adderall to other students. Want to guess where you got it? My phone was buzzing constantly now, but I couldn't look away from Jessica's face as her carefully constructed world collapsed in real time. She was still holding the megaphone, but no words were coming out. Then Ashley appeared at my shoulder. Sarah, we need to go. Now. Why? I asked, but Ashley was already pulling me backward through the crowd. Because Jessica's parents just pulled into the parking lot, and they looked furious. Through the crowd, I could see a silver sedan pulling up to the curb with Arizona plates. Two people got out, a middle-aged woman with Jessica's dark hair and a man in a Toyota dealership polo shirt. Jessica's very alive father, the one who was supposed to have died heroically in Afghanistan. Oh shit, Madison whispered, following my gaze. They actually came. Jessica had spotted them too, and the megaphone slipped from her fingers, clattering onto the concrete steps. For the first time since I'd known her, she looked genuinely terrified. Jessica Marie Chin, her mother's voice carried across the quad without any amplification needed. What the hell do you think you're doing? The crowd began to murmur as Jessica's parents pushed through, her father's face red with what looked like barely contained rage. Students were pulling out phones again, but this time to film what was clearly about to be a very public family confrontation. Mom, Dad, I can explain, Jessica started, but her mother cut her off. Explain? Jessica, we just spent 4 hours driving here because your dean called to tell us you've been expelled for theft and harassment. Her mother's voice cracked with emotion. And now we pull up to find you on social media making a fool of yourself with some kind of protest? I wasn't expelled, I was suspended pending. Don't you dare lie to us anymore, her father shouted. We know about the scholarship fraud, Jessica. We know you've been telling people I'm dead to get sympathy money from your friends. A collective gasp went through the crowd. Someone near me whispered, did he just say scholarship fraud? Jessica's mother was crying now, but it was angry crying. We found out this morning that you've been applying for deceased parent benefits, military family scholarships, hardship grants, all while we've been sending you $800 a month for living expenses. $800 a month. While Jessica had been eating my food and claiming she was broke, her parents had been sending her more money than I made at my campus job. The financial aid office called us at 6 a.m., her father continued, his voice getting louder. Do you have any idea what it's like to get a phone call asking about your posthumous military benefits when you're getting ready for work? They wanted to verify my death certificate, Jessica. The crowd was deadly silent now, everyone straining to hear every word of this devastating family drama playing out in real time. And then, her mother added, we find out you've been stealing from your roommate, lying to professors, destroying other students' lives for fun? She gestured toward me. Sarah Martinez has been nothing but kind to you according to your own text messages, and this is how you repay her? Dean Williams stepped forward diplomatically. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, perhaps we should continue this conversation in my office. No, Jessica's father said firmly. I want everyone here to understand something. My daughter has been lying to all of you for years. I am not dead. I was not a war hero. I sell Toyotas in Tempe, Arizona, and I'm proud of my job, but apparently it wasn't good enough for Jessica's college image. Jessica was sobbing now, real tears this time, but the crowd's sympathy had completely evaporated. People were looking at her with disgust and fascination, like watching a car crash in slow motion. The money stops today, her mother announced. The car payments, the credit card we gave you for emergencies, the monthly allowance, all of it. You want to be an orphan so badly? Congratulations. Madison leaned over to me. Sarah, this is bigger than we thought. Scholarship fraud is a federal crime. My phone buzzed with a text from Marcus. Holy shit, are you seeing this? She's been scamming the government? Jessica's carefully constructed life wasn't just falling apart, it was imploding spectacularly, in front of half the campus, with her parents delivering the final blows themselves. Jessica stood frozen on the steps, tears streaming down her face as her parents' words echoed across the quad. The crowd had swelled to over 100 students now, everyone filming or whispering or just staring in shock. But then something shifted in Jessica's expression, that same cold calculation I'd seen in our dorm room yesterday. You want to know the truth, she said, her voice carrying without the megaphone now. Fine. Yes, I lied about some things. But Sarah isn't innocent either. My stomach dropped. Even now, even with her entire life crumbling around her, Jessica was still trying to take me down with her. Sarah Martinez has been blackmailing me for months, she announced, wiping her eyes with deliberate precision. She found out about my financial aid situation and threatened to expose me unless I gave her money. Why do you think I was so broke all the time? A murmur rippled through the crowd. I felt Dean Williams tense beside me. That's not, I started, but Jessica wasn't done. Check her bank account, Jessica continued, pointing directly at me. She'll have deposits from me dating back to September. $50 here, 20 there, whatever she could squeeze out of me. Her voice took on that familiar wounded tone. I was terrified of her. She said she'd ruin my life if I didn't pay up. My hands started shaking. Because she was right about one thing, I did have deposits from Jessica in my bank account. The money she'd given me for groceries, for utilities, for her share of things we'd bought together. But taken out of context, without the receipts and explanations. Show them your Venmo history, Sarah, Jessica pressed. All those payments I sent you. Tell everyone what you told me you'd do if I stopped sending them. Emma stepped forward. That's insane, Jessica. Sarah's not capable of. Sarah Martinez collected $847 from me over 6 months, Jessica said, pulling out her phone. I can show you the transaction history right now. And every single payment has a note like for keeping quiet or you know what this is for. My blood went cold. I remembered those Venmo payments, I'd been the one writing the notes, trying to be discreet about what the money was actually for. For keeping quiet about the groceries when she hadn't wanted people to know I was covering her food costs. You know what this is for when she'd asked me to be vague about her borrowing money for textbooks. But without context, they looked exactly like blackmail payments. That's not what those were for, I said, but I could see doubt creeping into some faces in the crowd. Jessica, tell them what that money was actually for. I think I've told enough lies to protect you, Jessica replied, her tears drying up remarkably quickly. The truth is, Sarah found out about my scholarship applications and threatened to turn me in unless I paid her to keep quiet. When I couldn't afford her demands anymore, she escalated to stealing my belongings and framing me for harassment. Professor Davidson was frowning, looking between Jessica and me with obvious confusion. Ms. Martinez, is there documentation explaining these financial transactions? I have receipts, I said desperately. Grocery receipts, utility bills, textbook purchases, all the things that money was actually for. Receipts can be faked, Jessica said quietly. But bank records don't lie. Mrs. Chen was staring at her daughter with a mixture of horror and something that might have been pride. Jessica, what are you doing? I'm protecting myself, Mom. Finally. Jessica's voice was steady now, controlled. Sarah thought she could destroy my life, but I documented everything. Every threat, every demand for money, every time she went through my personal belongings looking for more ammunition. My phone started buzzing with notifications. People were already posting about this latest twist, and I could see the narrative shifting in real time. Hashtag Team Jessica was starting to trend alongside hashtag College Catfish. Madison stepped forward, her face pale. Jessica, you're lying again. Just like you lied about everything else. Am I? Jessica pulled up her phone. Because I have text screenshots that tell a very different story than the ones that got posted online. Screenshots that show Sarah threatening me, demanding money, promising to destroy me if I didn't comply. Dean Williams moved closer to me. Sarah, we need to discuss this privately. Immediately. But as we turned to leave, Jessica's voice followed us across the quad one more time. Ask her about the other students, Dean Williams. Ask her how many other people she's collected money from. Because I wasn't her first victim, I was just the only one brave enough to fight back. The crowd erupted behind us, and I realized that Jessica had just played her final card. Not victory, exactly, but mutually assured destruction. If she was going down, she was taking me with her. We sat in Dean Williams' office, me, my parents who'd driven up from Phoenix after I'd called them in tears, Emma, Madison, and two administrators I didn't recognize. Through the window, I could see students still clustered in the quad, probably dissecting every word of Jessica's final performance. The financial records tell a clear story, Dean Williams said, spreading bank statements across her desk. Every payment Jessica made to Sarah corresponds exactly with documented shared expenses, groceries, utilities, textbook purchases. Sarah has receipts for everything. My mom squeezed my hand. She brought a folder of her own, copies of every text message I'd sent her about Jessica over 2 years, including photos of grocery receipts and complaints about missing food that painted a clear picture of long-term financial abuse. But the Venmo notes, one of the administrators started, were written by Sarah at Jessica's request, Madison interrupted. Jessica used the exact same tactic with me. She'd ask for discrete payment notes to avoid embarrassment, then screenshot them out of context if you ever stood up to her. Emma pulled out her laptop. I have something else, she said quietly. Jessica forgot she gave me access to her Instagram account last year when she was in the hospital with appendicitis. She never revoked it. Dean Williams raised an eyebrow. And? She's been running a separate Finsta account for 2 years. Documenting everything she's done to Sarah and other students. She called it her psychological experiment log. Emma's voice was disgusted. She's been bragging about manipulating people, sharing screenshots of Sarah's private conversations, even rating her different lies based on how well they worked. My father, who'd been silent until now, leaned forward. Are you telling me this girl has been treating my daughter like a lab rat? Emma turned her laptop around, showing a post from Jessica's secret account dated 3 months ago. Update on subject S. Successfully convinced her boyfriend she's cheating using fabricated evidence. S still has no idea I'm systematically isolating her from her support network. Fascinating how easy it is to gaslight someone when you control their living environment. Next phase, academic sabotage. The room went completely silent. There are dozens of posts like this, Emma continued. She documents her manipulation tactics like she's writing a research paper. She even has a scoring system for how much psychological damage she thinks she's causing. Dean Williams was reading over Emma's shoulder, her face growing darker with each post. This is sociopathic behavior. Sarah, I am so deeply sorry that we didn't intervene sooner. Another knock on the door. Ashley entered with a campus security officer. Dean Williams? We've completed the search of Jessica's temporary room. You need to see this. The officer set a box on the desk filled with items I recognized, not just my grandmother's jewelry, but things belonging to Madison, to other students I'd never met. A collection of driver's licenses, credit cards, even prescription bottles with different names. She's been stealing from multiple students for years, Ashley said. We found detailed files on at least 12 different people, including psychological profiles and manipulation strategies tailored to each victim. My phone buzzed. A text from Marcus. Sarah, Jessica just confessed everything to Tyler and me. She's having some kind of breakdown in the parking lot. She said she couldn't keep lying anymore and that she needs help. I looked around the room at all these people who'd been working to protect me while I thought I was completely alone. What happens now? Now? Dean Williams closed the evidence file. Jessica Chen will face criminal charges for theft, fraud, and harassment. The university is also implementing new protocols for detecting and preventing this kind of systematic abuse. She looked directly at me. And Sarah, you're going to be okay. You've been carrying this alone for too long. That evening, I sat in my grandmother's restored dress. Mom's friend had worked miracles with a wine stain, writing the victim impact statement that would be read at Jessica's sentencing hearing. My phone buzzed with a final message, this time from Jessica herself. I'm getting help. Real help. I'm sorry, Sarah. You deserved so much better. For the first time in 2 years, I believed her. And for the first time in 2 years, I felt like myself again.